Ever pondered why we often compromise our own needs to satisfy others? Is it truly beneficial in the long run? Welcome to the paradox of people-pleasing. It's a common trait found in the corners of classrooms, the hallways of offices, the comfort of homes, and even in the digital world of social media. People-pleasing is often driven by an innate fear of rejection or conflict. It's like walking on eggshells around people, constantly trying to keep everyone content, often at the expense of one's own happiness. It's a tricky tightrope to walk, and falling off can lead to feelings of disappointment and resentment. Now let's lighten the mood with a little joke. Why did the people pleaser cross the road? Because someone on the other side asked them to. A chuckle-worthy reminder that people pleasers often go out of their way, literally and figuratively, to accommodate others. Let's delve into a story that illustrates the journey of outgrowing people pleasing. Before we delve into Jane's story, why don't we lighten the mood with a little joke? Here it goes. Why don't some people make good secret agents? Because they can't keep things to themselves. It's a funny thought, isn't it? But it's also a subtle reminder of a people pleaser's trait. They often prioritize others' needs and secrets over their own. Now, with a smile on our faces, let's get back to our story. Meet Jane, a classic example of a people pleaser. She always put others before herself, often at the cost of her own happiness. Jane was the kind of person who'd give up her favorite dessert just so someone else could have a taste. She'd often put aside her own plans to accommodate the needs of others. It's like she was playing a never-ending game of musical chairs, always making sure she was the one left standing when the music stopped. Jane's journey was a constant cycle of giving and sacrificing. She'd bend over backwards to keep everyone around her happy. She'd go to great lengths to avoid conflict, even if it meant suppressing her own feelings or desires. It was as if she was wearing a mask, hiding her true self behind a facade of endless agreeability. The downside of this constant need to please others was that Jane started losing her own identity. She was so busy trying to fit into the molds others had set for her that she forgot who she was. She became a chameleon, changing colors to blend in with her surroundings and losing sight of her unique hues. This constant camouflage led to feelings of dissatisfaction and resentment. Jane felt like she was living in a cage, bound by the expectations of others. Her life was a jigsaw puzzle, and she was a piece that just couldn't fit in, no matter how much she tried to twist and turn herself. And here's the kicker, folks. Jane's people-pleasing habits didn't even guarantee the approval she so desperately sought. In fact, they often led to the opposite effect. People took her for granted, assuming she'd always be there to cater to their needs, without considering her own. However, Jane soon realized that her need to satisfy others was stunting her own growth, and decided it was time for a change. Jane began implementing changes, prioritizing her own needs, and setting boundaries. This was a turning point in her life. She started by learning to say no. It might seem simple, but for a lifetime people pleaser, it was like climbing Mount Everest. But Jane was determined. She practiced saying no in front of the mirror to her pet dog, even to her favorite ice cream flavor. Next, Jane focused on self-care. She took time out for herself, indulging in activities she loved, like painting and reading, things she'd put aside to please others. She began to realize that she was not only important, but also deserving of her own time and attention. She also learned the art of setting boundaries. She understood that it was okay to protect her space, her energy, and her peace of mind. She communicated her needs firmly, yet respectfully. Jane's story is a testament to the fact that breaking free from people-pleasing is a journey, not an overnight transformation. Just like Jane, you too can embark on this journey of self-improvement and growth. It's a road paved with self-discovery and self-love. It's about building a life that you don't need to escape from. How do you start? Begin by setting personal boundaries. This is not about shutting people out, but rather about respecting your time, your energy, and your mental space. Next, prioritize your needs. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of everyday life and forget that you too are important. Remember, it's okay to put yourself first. If you're always pouring into others, make sure you're filled first. And finally, practice self-care. This isn't just about bubble baths and spa days, although those are great too. It's about making time for what nourishes your soul, be it reading a book, going for a walk, or simply enjoying a cup of coffee in silence. Remember, you are not responsible for everyone's happiness. It's time to focus on your own.